Well, good morning to everyone. This is Sveta from homestagingstepbystep.com and Home Staging Tips Groups. And for those of you who don't know me, I know we have a lot of new people on in the last few weeks. Welcome, welcome. It may be the first time that you're seeing me, and I have a very special guest on today, and I will be introducing Jennie very shortly. I just want to let you know a little bit about my background and who I am and what I do in this group. And I see people are starting to come on. So say hi to us, say good morning, and either type your name in the chat box, please, so we know who you are, or you can go above the video and identify, give permission to StreamYard to use your Facebook profile, and this way I will always know who you are. But if not, just don't be shy, say hello to us and tell us where you're coming from, where you're watching from. So I am in Montreal, Canada, and Jennie is?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
And the wonders of technology are pretty amazing, right? So Jennie and I actually met in this group, and Jennie will have a chance to introduce herself very shortly, but I just want to say, so I am a professional home stager since 2006, and I've been staging occupied and vacant homes for hundreds, probably thousands of home sellers and real estate investors. And of course, I collaborate with a lot of realtors. So I've had a whole, bunch of realtors in my local area in Montreal who used me for years and years and still use me. But I'm switching my business mostly online. So now I provide home staging advice, home staging services, coaching. I have an online course, which actually Jennie took just to see the quality of it. And basically, I help savvy, motivated home sellers all over the world to sell their house quickly and profitably. Well, hello, Debbie. So we have Debbie, who is part of my little ladies club. She gets up early and she joins us every Monday morning from, is it Alberta? I know it's Alberta. Okay. So she's in Canada. And I see a lot of people are starting to come on. So I'm just going to repeat myself. Please, as you join, say hello, type your name in the chat box so we know who you are and tell us where you live. So I thought that, I always talk every week, I talk about subjects related to home staging. And of course, we are going to talk about home staging a little bit today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the amazing challenge that all of you should participate in that's coming up next week. But today I wanted to focus on talking with Jennie because last time we had a chat was a few months ago, and we had a topic about what kind of questions you should be asking a realtor when you're interviewing realtors as your potential teammate. And so today I wanted to ask Jennie's advice and expertise on what kind of things you should be preparing for as soon as you decide that, okay, now I'm ready. I am going to be selling my house. Now what? Like, what is the next step? So Jennie has a lot of very super amazing information. So please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, hi, everyone. And Sveta, thank you for having me on. I always enjoy our conversations. And even from the first time that online we chatted and Zoomed and you have so much knowledge, and it's really helpful. So my name is Jennie Uhlmann. I am a realtor here in Tucson, Arizona. It's about 70 degrees here today, even though it's the morning. So I hope it's maybe some other people out there in the world are also enjoying their summer like I am right now. But I'm a residential realtor here, but my background's in education. For a long time, I was a teacher and an administrator. So my mindset is always on educating people so that they get the most out of their home sale. So wherever you are and whatever you need, that's kind of my push and my impetus for helping people. And anybody on here, if you have questions, if you want to ask somebody who's not going to be your realtor, unless you're in Tucson, Arizona, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And Sveta knows this. Like I'm happy to help people because I mean that. That means something to me. So do you want me to just hop right into,
Yeah,
you want to list your house?
There's a couple of things I want to mention. So Jenny actually can help anybody in this group who is a potential home seller, or soon to be, I should say, not potential home seller, but actually ready to sell. And when you get there, which, you know, when you're going to start thinking about which realtor you want to use and how to interview realtors, you can reach out to Jenny. I will be posting some graphic that she very kindly created later on today with her information. I'll also will post the link to. You can find her in the group easily and message her. And Jenny has offered to, if you don't know a good realtor in your area and you don't know where to start and you don't know how to choose a good realtor, Jenny can help you with that. So you can just contact her, and then she will find a couple of really good people for you to interview in your local area,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And I did that last time I was on with you. And you know, there's lots of different questions to ask, and sometimes it's easier to have.
Yes.
Before
I do, I just want to say hi to my little crew here. I see Barbara. Hello, Barbara. I've been trying to contact you. Talk to me afterwards. DM me. Tell me where you're at. So Barbara is in Indiana, and we are chatting about, you know, me kind of motivating her to finally put her house on the market. And then we have somebody else who said, "Hey, Koo," but I have no idea who you are, so please give me your name. And we have somebody called Nancy, so that's great. So one thing that when Jenny and I kind of started talking about it, I know that especially for somebody who is a first-time home seller maybe, or they haven't sold a house in 20 years, you know, they've been living in their house for 20, 25 years. I have a lot of people in this group who are in that particular situation. I think one of the first aspects is emotional, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to be taking a lot of notes because I will be writing a post about this. So we're going to talk about emotional readiness, and I think you also have a lot of things to say about financial readiness, financial questions. So take it from here.
Well, okay. Starting with the emotional, it's a roller coaster for most people. Now, it could be a positive emotional thing. It could be a negative. It could be, you know, you're selling your mom's home and you're depressed about, you know, the memories you're going to be losing in that home. It could be a great thing where, you know, you're going through a divorce and you can't wait to be done with it. But what I will tell you is, for
talking from experience,
I've been there, done that. About 75% of my clients have to confront some unexpected emotion during it. So they think, I'm so excited. This is such a relief. This is such a thing. And at some point during the process, they kind of have an emotional dump where all of a sudden they're worried, they're anxious, am I doing the right thing? But I forgot this happened here and this stuff, and maybe it's not worth it. And when you compound those emotions, if you're not expecting them and don't know, like, okay, this is totally normal, it can blow up a contract, for lack of a better word, because sometimes people's emotions come into play and then all of a sudden they don't know where they are. They're not sure if they trust the people on the other side.
Yeah.
And they get worried, and, you know, it can mess up a contract that's in place, but it also can keep them from accepting a really good contract or knowing when they've got one.
I can totally relate, because 3 years ago we decided to sell, you know, my home where I brought up my daughters, and I knew I was ready logically. I knew I had my why. I knew I had the reasons, and I think it's important to mention that when you decide to sell, you should have maybe a written list of, you know, the positives and the negatives of why I want to sell. What are the benefits? What is it going to give me? And I had my list, so I knew it was the right thing to do. But nevertheless, I must say that it was so emotionally difficult. And of course, my kids objected at the beginning because it was a childhood home. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with my mother, you know, telling me, like, are you sure you have such a really lovely house? And now you're going to go to a much smaller place. So it was, but I don't regret that decision. But I still find it hard, I must say, even after 3 years. So, but it gave us a lot of positives. It gave us a lot of things that we wanted to be able to accomplish. Hopefully, you know, as soon as the pandemic is over, we can travel again. Travel is one of those things. So how do you suggest, like, what's your tip, let's say, for the viewers on, we know it's going to happen. We know that no matter what, they're going to get emotional. What is the tip? Like, what should they do?
I feel strongly two things. Be clear and write out what are your goals. Kind of like you were saying, is know what the outcome is, why you're doing this. So writing out your goals and saying, okay, this is what I want. And I have a graphic, which I'll share, but go through the steps of this is what I'm doing. This is my timeline. These are the reasons why. So you have that. And before you even start listing, make sure you have one or two who are your emotional support people, who are going to be the people that you will trust to keep you on track when you start getting upset. I know you'll get into this, Feta, but when you start staging a home, it's very hard. The emotionality of, well, I love this decor and I got this in this place and this is this vacation. And isn't it the most gorgeous piece? It fits right here. And it feels depersonalizing. So who do you know?
Yeah.
For me, a lot of times my clients, I am that person because they're like, my husband doesn't like that.
But so am I. I always tell, like, people laugh when I have a lot of aspiring home stagers also in this group and who call me or message me and they want to learn from me. And they don't believe me when I tell them 80% of what I do is psychology. Like, I'm literally people's psychologist because a lot of times I'm the first person they start working with. And so they do need to unload a lot of their situations. They could be good situations, but they could also be difficult situations. And I'm there to support them like you are emotionally during that big change, because selling a home, it's one of the biggest, there are tons of statistics on that, but I think it's within like the five or six top stress producing events.
Absolutely, because there's unpredictable things that happen. And again, who do you have on your team? Who do you trust and who's going to keep you on track? And sometimes it's problematic for it to be your best friend or your spouse because they might go down that same emotional spiral. If your best friend loves the house, well, I never really wanted you to move, and
it's not neutral and objective for sure.
Correct.
So let's talk about something that I'm sure everybody's like very interested in, and I'm very interested in, and it's really about what kind of questions a person should ask themselves to understand the important financial elements and the real potential outcome of this transaction. And I just want to mention, because I'm in Canada and Jennie is in the US, and I have viewers from pretty much all over the world, but we have people from Australia, we have people from Europe, and we have people from Canada and the US. I've specifically asked Jennie not to be very specific in terms of certain steps and processes, because it varies country to country, and the way we do a real estate transaction in Canada is different from the US. So we're going to keep it kind of high level, and then if you're American, if you have specific questions, you can ask Jennie, and if you're Canadian, you can get to me and I'll find you a really good Canadian realtor to talk to. Okay, let's talk about the financial questions that people should be asking themselves.
Well, the first one, which I think is a hidden one and maybe backward, but I think helps organize your mind to get your mind around it, is your timeline. So what is your timeline?
Yeah.
Even though you may not think of that as being a financial thing, realize that every month that you're in there, you are putting time and money into that home. So whether it's insurance, whether it's utilities, whether it's vacant or not, all of that is money invested in the house. And what is your timeline? Do you need to be out in 6 weeks? Is there something, do you need that money in 4? Are you okay? Would you rather move in the summer or not move in the summer? So getting really realistic with your time frame helps you back things out and look at the full financial picture, because getting a house up and staged, there's a lot of variations there in terms of expenses, that people may put out, but also they need money to move to the next place and to again have that realistic timeline for when things are going to happen. So I would say start with the timeline. When do you have to be out by? When would you like to be out by? But then next from there, what you have to do is, if you owe money, if you have a mortgage, you got to dig out that mortgage bill and see how much money you actually owe on the house. Because when you're looking at numbers, people usually approach it, my experience, they usually approach it from 2 ways, which is just get me the most money as possible, or I need to have at least this much money. Now, maybe you bought the house 2 years ago and something has happened and you have to move. You really have to know how much must you walk away with to not be upside down and owe money. So really being clear, pull your bank statement, pull your mortgage statement. How much do you owe? And it's slightly different from the payoff amount. There may be a little bit extra added in. You just have to kind of look and see at the terms of your original loan. Most of them can be found online now. So it's not, you may not have to dig through all your stuff, but have that and know, okay, this is how much I still owe on my house. So I would say start there, and then people will say, how much do I want to walk away with? Or what's the price that I want to sell, my house for? And then.
No, I just have a question because, I come across this all the time. Like people kind of have unrealistic expectations and they're going to say, well, I want that much money for my house.
Correct.
But I think it has to be realistic because yes, I might want to, have $600,000 for my house, but if it's the market that dictates whether it's possible or not. So I think a realtor or an appraiser, right? We're going to talk about different people involved in the transaction, but you should get some objective opinions about how much your house is really worth in the market today. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And again, without getting specific, but my understanding, most of the time you can interview realtors without hiring any of them. And you can ask them to do, an analysis of what your house is worth. And you can take that in as information and weigh back and forth, because they will pull comparable sales. They'll have a good feel for what the market might bear for your house. And you can weigh that against your expectations. If you want $500,000 for your house and you interview 3 realtors who say, no, it's only worth 400, 420, you need to have that talk with the person who's helping you be realistic about it. Who is that person who's going to say that?
I want to touch on what you just said. So I actually, within my coaching program, right, which is on, it's ready to list coaching program, and I'm not a realtor. Okay, let me just be very clear on this. And I don't determine prices and I don't advise people on prices, but I have enough experience in the industry for 15 years that I know people's behavior and I know people's mentality. And I know that most people tend to over evaluate and overestimate how much their house is worth, exactly the same way as they probably overestimate their kids and they think that their kids are the cutest, the brightest, the nicest in the world. So this is what they do with their house. And so what happens, and I'm not trying to, shit on realtors in general, excuse my French, but a lot of realtors, unfortunately, where I have a real problem is that they will cater to those unrealistic expectations of a client, knowing perfectly well that it might not they might not be able to sell at that price, but they just want to get that contract. They just got to get the listing. And that's why it might be a good idea to get 2 or 3 different realtors in and then compare. And one of the things I teach in my coaching program is actually steps. The first step, which we're going to be doing, I'm just interrupting, sorry, just to do a plug in for my challenge, but next week's challenge is called the Home Value Multiplier Challenge. And the whole 3 days, what we're going to do is we're going to work through my professional home assessment worksheet, because I want to teach home sellers how to be very critical and objective towards their home that they're planning to put on the market, and to show them that they might need to do certain things to get the price that they want. And once they do that self-assessment and they know the gap, then the second step is exactly what you're talking about, is really analyzing your competition and getting help. Some people might decide to do it on their own. They might do some searches, but why not use the realtor's help, which is free, right?
Correct. Until you sign the contract.
What else do you recommend?
Well, kind of tying in with that is you need to know, when you're looking at your finances, how much do you want to get out of the house? You also need to see and look and see, how much can I put into the house? Do I want to put anything into the house? And this is a delicate balance between a realtor, stager, home seller, to really know what is going to get you that most value out of your house. And there's two ways of looking at those things. One is you look at there's all kinds of data out there. I don't know, Sveta, if you know this, the one thing that gets you at least 100% return on investment in your home improvement. Do you know what that is?
I would say it's paint.
It's a new garage door.
Okay, so paint is more than that then.
And paint, and paint doesn't show up, but I would say neutral paint absolutely is worth
Well, I didn't know that. Where do you get the statistic?
I'll pull it for you. You know, I'm a member of the Home Builders Association, a lot of different places. So, and I'm kind of a data nerd, so I love looking at those little pieces of, you know, like, but basically a garage door, a pretty new garage door, 100% return on investment.
Okay, but that means that if you spend $1,500 on a new garage door, you're going to get back the $1,500?
Correct. Now, this is where people sometimes get confused. We watch HGTV, we look at Flip or Flop, we say, oh man, if I do the bathroom, I'm putting $25,000 in the bathroom, I can ask $50,000 more. And it's not, a lot of times bathrooms, kitchens will help your home sell quicker and at a higher price, but a lot of times you don't get 100% return on investment.
Not if you, that's true. Not if you're planning to sell very like within the next 6 months or a year. Now, if you want to have a new bathroom or a kitchen and you want to live in there for a couple of years and enjoy them, then it still might be worthwhile. Plus now I know how there's some ways that we can do the, you know, kitchen renovations, not too expensive, but you're absolutely right. Usually I would say in 80-90% of the cases, I don't necessarily recommend full renovations either. But I just want to understand this new garage door. Why would I want to, if I spend $1,500 on a garage door, you're saying that I will get that $1,500 back, but then why bother? Because I'm not actually making money. Or is it that you're saying if I put $1,500 more, I'll get $3,000 more for the house?
No, you'll get the $1,500 back. So why I'm mentioning this is sometimes there are, you know, if your garage door functions fine, you think it looks fine, don't mess with it. If you have a ding in your door, if you know it's not really working totally right, if there's something where maybe it's a weird color from the 70s, you know, that's a time where you say, okay, in terms of investment, I can feel pretty confident. Data tells me if I spend the $1,500, I can ask $1,500 more and it will sell quicker. And nobody's going to look at it and say, what a weird house, I don't want to live there. It feels weird.
It's all about the first impression, right? It's also a very emotional decision for buyers. So when we're talking about how emotions play a big role in selling the house, but it's also a very big emotional decision for buyers. And
Absolutely.
I see also more people coming on. Guys, everybody who's coming on, give me some fire, give us some love, say hello, like tell us that you're enjoying this conversation. So Jenny and I don't feel like we're talking in the void. So just post stuff in the chat box and tell us if you have any questions. You can please post your questions in the chat box as well, and I'll read them out to Jenny, and we'll be very happy to answer them for you. You can also do that after when you're watching the replay, and just tag Jenny, and she will answer your questions as well. So yeah, I absolutely agree that there is some, and you know, this is where kind of, you know, realtor jobs come in. Like you said, realtor can recommend, an experienced realtor should be able to recommend certain things. I can definitely recommend things. This is where my expertise really is. And unfortunately, you know, I do get people who think that they need to change bathrooms and kitchens, which is not necessarily the case. But like you said, it's a balance of knowing what are the things that should be done, prioritizing them, establishing a budget. And that's actually just led me right into the step 2 of my coaching program, where we talk about budgeting those investments. So honestly, in 15 years, hi, Vicky, there she is. Vicky is from Maryland, and she really appreciated this information. We did replace old warped garage doors. Yes, Vicky, good for you. So you can put your investment. it is a, you have to find, so you have to, I teach people that instead of just starting doing things blindly, and then they're so afraid to overspend, because it's exactly what you're saying, is that you don't know, okay, if I spend $5,000 on preparing my house for sale, am I gonna get, obviously not 5,000 back, am I going to get $10,000 back or $15,000 back? And this is where my expertise lies, is to find the things that will bring you the most return on your investment, even if I didn't know about the garage door, but I know about the paint.
Now you do.
A lot of other things, and then how to prioritize them and make them fit into your time frame. Right? We started talking about the time frame, which I completely agree with, and I always do that. This also the same thing. I tell people to decide, okay, does the house have to be on the market in 2 weeks, or does it have to be in the market in 3 months? And then we work backwards from there to see what's possible to do. And at the end of the day, I think, I'm sure you're going to talk about it, but how to showcase your house and what it really means in terms of for the home seller, but also for a realtor to market a house that presents itself well. So are we done talking about financial aspects?
We can talk, and because I don't want to get stuck there. I think people get the idea, but I would write out the plan, write out the timeline, have that mortgage statement. So that way, when you do have a conversation with someone about the pricing, you sit there and say, okay, and if I pay this commission, what am I walking away with? Ask that question to the realtor. Okay, what am I walking away with? Here's this is what I owe.
Gain.
What's that?
The people have to be able to calculate their realistic net gain.
Correct.
And then if a house is well staged, hopefully they will get an extra, $5, $10, $15, $20,000, right?
And that is why, for me, my first step after evaluating a home and getting a listing is having the talk about staging.
Okay, so before we go there, I'm looking at your second image. Yep. And now we're basically moving into the team. So I think it's important for people to also understand that when you decide to sell your house, you're not alone. You are the most important member of the team, but you need a group of people to support you. So I would like for Jennie to discuss, the people, and make a list if you want of different types of people that you might need to support you.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm a realtor, obviously, but I do think even if you're wanting to try and sell it yourself, having some realtors to discuss with and get the information, we're seeped in this, so we have tons of information that that is going to be useful to you. So the realtor will coordinate, or should, in my opinion, help you coordinate all the rest of the people on your team if you choose to use a realtor. Among those, you have an inspector. Now, in a traditional sale, the inspector is hired by the buyer, and you need to know that when you sell your house, they're going to come in, and then they have a time that they can inspect the house and see if they find it still acceptable. For a lot of people, that can be upsetting. We go back to the emotionality. People don't like to be told that something's wrong with their house. Well, I just replaced that roof 10 years ago. That inspector doesn't know what he's talking about. But sometimes it's helpful. And again, depending on the budget and the timeline and how you are and how you know yourself, some people do a pre-listing inspection. So they hire an independent inspector prior. Here in Tucson, $350, we get an inspector. He goes through the bullet point list, and we kind of know, hey, the roof is a problem. Hey, this is a problem. So it counters the emotionality of when the buyer comes in with an inspector. You can say, nope, we already took care of it, or we've already hired the contractor. This is being taken care of. Or at least you have the game plan and don't feel that you have a trust in maybe what they're saying because you hired your independent person who might verify that.
I've been there. Like, I've sold a lot of homes because, as we've talked before, my husband and I will also flip homes. Mm-hmm. And so there's nothing worse than finally having your fish on the hook. And you're like so excited, you have this really great offer on the table and you're already counting your money, right? And then, oops, the inspector comes, and their job, let's be honest, their job is to demolish pretty much everything. because they're
Mhm.
paid, right? They're paid to come up with a 50, 60. I saw reports up to 100 pages
I
long.
have too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
where they would like literally, okay, there's some things that are important, but they would literally talk about total stupidities. But first time buyers, especially, tend to get scared and then they back out. And there's
Yeah.
nothing worse. It's just such a horrible feeling, right? Thinking that finally you've got your sale and then people back out. So,
Mhm.
if you want to spend an extra three, four, maybe $500 and have a pre-sale report, as you said, there's some advantages to it because you have your own side of the story, right?
Mhm. And
Okay.
that's where I use it to come back and say, nope, didn't have a problem here. And there's another level of negotiations that happens at that stage. Don't let that, I know that's not what we're talking about, but just know that's something where if having that can be a tool in your toolkit if you're worried about what comes up.
Okay.
Um,
I keep that as a topic.
mhm.
Keep that as a
That's a good
potential
topic.
topic
The
for us.
inspection period would be a good one.
Okay.
Another team member that you may, it's not critical, you may choose to hire an appraiser. Now, this can be useful for hard to price homes. So if there's a lot of acreage, if it's unique, if it's horse property, if it's if it's built prior to a certain year, so it's historic. Appraisers can be helpful if you feel like, man, there's nothing really like this house, so I don't really know how much to ask. What you have to beware is that that appraiser will come and he's hired by you or she's hired by you. So you can't count on that number that comes out. So they're hired a lot of times also if somebody's refinancing, you'll hire, and basically they're wanting to validate the worth of a home when you hire them as the homeowner. So if you want a loan for $600,000, their job is to come in and say, well, is this house worth at least 600? And what I've seen here in the States is most of the time the appraiser comes pretty close to saying, yeah, okay, we agree it's worth that much. What
How much
sometimes
could
what
it cost
happens,
to have an appraiser?
I'm sorry.
How much could it cost to have an appraiser?
It depends on how intense the how home is to evaluate. Here in Tucson, we have some pretty unique properties set on a lot of acreage. If it's set on a lot of acreage, they have to evaluate that value of acreage for possibly subdividing and selling it. So there's a lot of factors to take into consideration. So it could cost up to a couple $1,000. Now your average appraisal is probably about $500. I have seen people, because things have been so busy with here in the US with refinancing and sales, the appraisers have been raising their prices.
Okay,
So
everybody else, right?
so it's somewhere from 400 for an average house. I would say $400 to $600 probably in my area. Some of the bigger metropolitan areas may be a little more. And if you're dealing with a unique property or acreage, you call it out.
Okay, let's talk about other important people on the team. I mean, of course, a contractor probably.
Contractor.
Yeah, a contractor or handyman to do the fixing ups that you cannot do yourself. And I always recommend that unless you're really good. And then, of course, very important person is who?
The stager.
Yes.
The stager. And I use stagers every time I make sure the house is staged. And this is so important. Most stagers will come in and just do it for you. But one of the things that you do, which is fabulous, is that you talk them through that emotion. Like they have the tools to be able to do it themselves and have that piece of it. I think it's better.
Well, what I do, because it's different. I mean, of course, people can hire home stagers. Sometimes the realtor provides a home stager, but what people have a hard time understanding is that a realtor will not pay $1,000 to a stager to do the job, like for the full job. So they will maybe pay them a couple of $100 to go in and basically just give a consultation, which will last an hour and a half, right? But at that particular moment, the stager will only give a few pieces of advice. They're not able to actually like tell people what color paint to choose, how to move the furniture around, what needs to be decluttered. They're just going to go very superficially. So, and so that is completely different from what I do. Yes, it might be like a little band-aid solution. It will give you a few tips and everything, which is not bad, but it's not at all what I teach people to do. And also I allow people to do it at their own time frame. So I follow their lead. If somebody has only 2 weeks before they're putting house on the market, will do very, very intense marriage, and I will get the house out there. And if somebody has 3 months or 6 months, I'll work at their speed and their time frame to help them declutter, to help them organize, to help them paint, to help them choose things that they need. So, I understand there are physical home stagers. You can also, in the pandemic, that's another consideration. It's a lot of people right now under lockdowns, under restrictions, and you're not necessarily allowed to have somebody in your house, or you might not want to have somebody in your house who's gonna reorganize everything. Maybe you have immune-compromised people in the house or older people. So I just teach you, basically, I'm there with you to get it done together. So that's a big difference. But
one thing I want to throw out there, not because I want to scare people, but because there is some, I know here every now and then, I mean, that's what real estate's about. Everything goes great until it doesn't go great. And if you're in this weird little position of, man, something happened, there is sometimes a discussion about who is responsible for the value of the furniture or the staging materials. If you hired an outside stager and they bring their things and something gets taken by a buyer, taken by whatever, that you may be liable for that. It depends on
absolutely. When I bring people, actually, it's a good point. We're not going to talk about this, but technically, if me as a stager, I have a lot of inventory and I rent this inventory out to somebody and I put it in somebody's home, the home seller at this point becomes responsible and the contract is signed, and they're technically, if they live in the house, it should be covered by their house insurance. And if they don't live in the house, it's even worse because then they have to buy an insurance. I just want to ask somebody asked a question. I think it's kind of for both of us. Do you specifically recommend contractors, or how do people go about finding a good contractor handyman?
So that's part of what I do. I mean, that's, because I'm all about relationships. So it's about, who do I know? I mean, I have an electrician friend who I can call him up, come over here, look at this panel, what's going on. 100% trust. People I have who I 100% trust, or at least can recommend. And I'm also very good, and a lot of realtors are, if you have good relationships, not everything's free, but sometimes, I was telling you before this, I have a couple of contractors who come out and they'll give me a free quick inspection.
My husband is a contractor, and he actually does it, not a lot, but he does it for good realtors who have asked us. I ask him many times to go with their clients, give them a price on how much it would cost to renovate something, or give them his opinion about this or that or that. I've been asked many times as well as a stager. Like, I'm not a contractor, I'm not a handyman, but I know what things need to be done, and I know approximately how much it costs. But of course, this is very local related questions. So because the person has to go physically in your area. So, there are ways, if you really don't know anybody who can help you, you should be able to ask your, 2 or 3 realtors, or decide on the realtor you're going to be working with. I think what Jennie is saying is a good realtor should have his or her team in place, should be able to recommend someone. You can ask friends. You can ask neighbors. I've seen friends posting on Facebook saying, "Hey guys, anybody know, a good, reliable contractor in Montreal?" Things like that. So there are ways of finding good, reliable people. So we talked about the stager, and I think maybe the last person, because
I want to throw one thing out there just for people to tuck away, is that some contractors, depending on the work to be done and how quickly the timeline is, will, here in the US, and I don't know again how, will sometimes bill to escrow. So suppose you need something, the roof fixed, but you don't have $10,000. there are roofers who will say, well, we'll do the work and we're going to be paid when the house sells.
Actually, I think it's a very big difference between US and Canada. And I believe it was you who explained to me that a lot of real estate companies in the US actually lend money to a seller if they have enough equity. Can you explain that concept again? But it doesn't apply in Canada.
Mm-hmm. And this is something where, again, depending on where you are and depending on the brokerage, it's part of the knowing all that, getting all that stuff lined up and then interviewing realtors. If you know that your house needs, you know what, that house is from the 70s and it's, that bathroom is terrible and I have shag carpeting and I know I have to do this, but I have no cash. There's certain brokerages that I might point you toward where they will lend you the money in your equity, have you be able to contract out the work so that you can sell it at the higher price. And then it's taken out at the end once you sell the house.
I had a question for you. I never had a chance to ask you, but I meant to ask you that question.
Yeah.
When the brokerage firms do that, two questions. Does that money come out from an independent lending institution or it comes out from the brokerage? And a second question, what is is there interest rate and what in your knowledge are interest rates on that loan?
So that depends on the brokerage. My understanding is that it's put in with the brokerage because there are a lot of
brokerage to be able to.
The brokerage is the realtors. It is from the realtors firm. So if it's Coldwell Banker, Coldwell Banker will partner with mortgage companies, with lenders, with whatever. So it still looks like Coldwell Banker. Okay. All your interactions are with Coldwell Banker, but you might sign an additional thing that says that you're taking on this loan at X amount. Okay. There's real estate is changing, and there's certain ways where real estate agencies, the brokerages, will have affiliated relationships with certain people who give you favorable rates or services. And so that's something you just ask.
It's not free. That service is a service, but let's say it takes you, let's say 3 months until you get your money. So you pay a little bit of an interest on that loan. I just want to make sure that it's
and it goes back to your question to your realtor, how much am I going to walk away with? Okay, we're going to do this. How much do you approximately think I'm going to walk away with after I pay all this? And
that's great. I'm very happy we touched on this because that was one of my questions. I don't think that service is available in Canada. If anybody can prove me wrong, if we have any other realtors, Canadian realtors on this or watching this, and if you know whether any of the big firms like Remax or Century 21 do this, or Coldwell Banker. No, we don't have Coldwell. We do have Coldwell Bankers, but Keller Williams we have. If anybody does that kind of loan in Canada, but I don't believe so. So I think it's a pretty good service to add if, like you said, people need to do $5,000-$10,000 worth of fixing ups and they don't necessarily have the money available. They can also take a personal loan, or a lot of my clients, they use their credit line because right now the interest rates are just so low that it probably comes out to the same at the end. Okay. What else?
The last thing I want to mention, photographer. Don't go cheap on your photographer.
Yes.
Don't take the pictures with your iPhone and think it's the same.
I agree. I absolutely agree, especially after you've invested, some money into doing the home preparation and home staging, and your house looks absolutely fabulous. Do not ruin it by taking, and I talk about it, it's like a pet peeve.
Yes.
I talk about it. It's really not expensive. And it's also part of a realtor's, it's one of the questions that you should be asking a realtor, right? It's part of the realtor's added value is to pay for a professional photographer, right?
I always pay for that, as well as now I think it's essential to do the video walkthrough, a Matterport or a video walkthrough in the days of COVID. A lot of people are tentative to go into a house unless they want to be able to walk through it and get a feel for it. And that will also give you a floor plan. So just ask about photography, videography, and professional. That I would add to the list of garage door and paint as something that you get back.
Yeah, I agree because especially in the situation we're in, and also a lot of people are moving today, especially in the States. I know there's a lot of movements between states, different states. Like a lot of people from New York are moving to North Carolina and across country. And a lot of my clients that I work with are actually in that situation where they're selling their home in one place and then going somewhere else. And if you are in that situation, please give us more questions. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but before I wrap up, I want to make sure that you get your questions in because you have Jennie's expertise. I wanted to read something to you from Vicky. She said, I'm really nervous about a home inspection after living in this house for over 30 years. Do you want to comment on that?
I would tell you then maybe, I mean, you maybe make a list of what you think I would call, we use the word deferred maintenance. Are there some things that you haven't done in a while? Now in the US, a roof it lasts about 20 years. Your air conditioning and furnace about 20 years. Your water heater about 20 years. When was the last time each of those big things was redone? If it's been a while, you might consider, okay, how am I going to counteract something, if something goes wrong in the inspections for that. But that might be a good time to maybe you find out how much a home inspector would cost. And maybe you evaluate, is it worth me spending $350 to get that? Will I be less nervous if I know the things that are going to come up? And if you're working with a realtor, just, the realtor will go through it with you and maybe strategize about, well, if you take care of this, we can market, if you replace the roof, we can market it as brand new roof. So the people come in and say, okay, everything is not about to go kaput. We know they just put a new roof on. Maybe we're willing to take the 20-year-old water heater because we know we're not going to have to pay for a roof. So yeah.
I was just going to say that, as we mentioned before, the premise already is that an inspector's job, because an inspector works typically for the buyer. So the inspector's job is really to find everything they can find. Now, and the thing is, they are not even liable, as you and I were discussing, because they have such good personal insurance that if something goes wrong after you buy a house, it's your problem. But they do tend to scare people off. And so it is very, very important that you put all the chances on your side. And therefore, that is why, you need to fix as many things as you can, time-wise and financially wise, before you put the house on the market. And then, as Jennie said, if you really think, some things are pretty obvious to fix, if you have an old roof or you have to reduce your price, or you sometimes replacing, let's say, a heater that will cost you maybe $500 is worth it than taking a chance that it's going to leak, or that the buyer is going to deduct $1,500 from the price, because
Right.
They always will deduct more than it actually costs to fix it, right? So all of that is part of your preparation and the staging. Now, somebody else asked the question. And I will answer first. Should I invest in flooring before I list, or should I let the buyer choose the flooring? I know I need to replace, but don't know what to do. Can you tell me who you are? It's not Barbara, is it? Because I know Barbara and I have been talking about doing the flooring. Tell me, give us your name. And so I will give my answer, and then we'll see if your answer is the same as mine. So I think that flooring is actually one of the top things that people are looking at when they buy a house. Stephanie from Kentucky. So flooring is definitely on my top of return on investment. Tell me if you agree. And I think it's a very important element of when people walk in, what they see. And honestly, in my personal experience, because I flipped homes, I was telling Jennie, I'm just about to run out and meet the flooring guy who is in my house right now, sanding, in the house we're going to be selling, sanding it, and I'm going to choose the color of the stain, because you can make the house look absolutely amazing and update it just with the new flooring. Now, if it's hardwood flooring and you're living in the house and you need to revarnish and stain, it might be just too big of a job, and it might be too difficult to do while you're living in the house. So everybody's situation is different. Another thing also, culturally and locally, depending on where you are, in Canada, pretty much everybody has hardwood flooring or laminate flooring or vinyl flooring now, but carpet is out. Okay, definitely. And I think she said, I think it's Stephanie. Carpet is absolutely out. It's not hygienic. It gets dirty. You have pets who peed on it or kids who vomited on it, and it's just yucky. It's gross. So if you're able, have the time and have the money, my recommendation would definitely be to invest money in doing the floor and redoing the flooring. Now, after we can discuss, you and I, if you want, I can help you, is what kind of flooring you're going to choose. Jenny?
From my standpoint, it depends on the price point, and both of the house and of what the flooring will cost you. So here, like you said, it's funny, locally, there's a lot of stuff that's dictated. Here in Tucson, we have a lot of saltillo tile. And that's, it's kind of an orangey Mexican tile. And it's very, you have to jackhammer it up, and you've got to lay new tile. It can be very expensive to put it in. And it's a big pain, and kind of like if it's hardwood and you have to revarnish, like it may not be possible or worth it to deal with that headache. And so I would say it depends. Now, for me, if it's at the higher price point, average home here in Tucson's $300,000. So if it were at the 500 plus, I would say absolutely your flooring needs to be updated. If it's somebody at the $200,000, I would say no. It's a hot market. The people are not going to, they're not going to walk away from it.
Carpet is clean, maybe at least professionally clean it.
Carpet, I would say it depends. How gross is it? Let's just be honest. Home Depot, $99 a room, you can get them to come in and put down. Even if everybody knows it's cheap, at least it's clean. I think that can be the best thing. The other thing that for me with tile is worth $1 million is a good grout steam clean. Couple $100. It looks brand new. Even if it's not the nicer, newer tile, it can all of a sudden make it look, wow, it looks clean. It looks well maintained. Yeah. It is 4 years old, but it's nice.
So I think the general, unfortunately, the answer is it depends. But even if you cannot afford to put, let's say, hardwood flooring, today there's so many other solutions. I've been using some vinyl tiling, the new vinyl tiles. They're spectacular. You have very high end, very good quality laminate flooring today. So you can really have a whole variety of flooring. So we can discuss it offline because we're gonna have to be wrapping up. How do you find someone to help you make color choices, paint choices, and flooring choices? How about right here? This is me. You just found me. So you can, I guess it's Stephanie, right? From Kentucky. So I'm sorry, I don't know your last name. So we have lots of Stephanies in this group, but you are welcome to DM me or post put your name underneath in the comments, and we can chat offline, and I'll be very happy to give
you. And I'm gonna throw. Can I put in my? We can share my information. I'm happy if anybody has questions, if they want to talk through, hey, I have this going on. What would you do? Do you think, is this price? I'm happy to talk to anyone and give them.
What I'm going to do, as soon as we're done, and we have to be done because both you have an appointment and I have an appointment. Guys, you've been amazing. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for the Home Value Multiplier Challenge next week, it's absolutely free. It's a 4-day event, Monday to Thursday. Next week, it's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Time in this group, but you need to register for it because I'm going to be sending some stuff out by email, including your workbook. So it's very important for you to register. And I will teach you how to critically assess your house for its marketability as is. So you will see whether your house is ready for sale and you can hire Jenny to find you a realtor, or whether you need a little bit of work before you get there. So thank you so much. I will, in about an hour, will be posting Jennie's information below, or you can just tag her in the group, okay? Jennie Uhlmann, you have her name, and you can send her a message if you have any questions.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephanie, you can get to me as well anytime you want. And if you have any questions, just keep posting them below the video, and we will get back to you. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Jennie, for being with me today.
You're
We'll do this
welcome.
again.
I know.
Bye.
You want to do that. Bye.